For most of our marriage my husband, 39 male, and I, 37F, had a very happy relationship. We had good jobs, decent money, 2 kids and loved each other. Then he got diagnosed with a rare form of cancer and we went through years of painful treatments and recovery together. We moved to a small house to be close to the research center where he underwent treatment. His parents paid half of the down payment on the house, the other half was from our savings and investments. In the divorce he gave me the house and took all of his medical debt. We have been divorced a year, but now his cancer has come back and he needs treatment again at the same research hospital. He wants to stay in what is now my house while undergoing treatment and his parents expect me to house him and look after him because he was generous in letting me have the house without taking his rightful share from the equity. When we were married and he was undergoing treatment, it was new stuff that was expensive and also very physically draining on him. We were lucky that both our jobs were supportive and flexible, but with his health issues, little kids and expenses, we had to downgrade our lifestyle a lot. That plus the physical changes in his body made him very depressed. Whenever he felt a bit better, he'd go stay in his hometown. It's a small town where most of his family and a lot of his childhood friends live. I was doing all the caretaking of him, while also dealing with insurance complications. I was also managing the kids, the entire household and my full-time job. We had help from friends and neighbors but it was very hard. I wasn't happy about him spending his healthy days away from us, but it was good for his mental health so I didn't feel like I could object. While he was staying there he had reconnected with his high school girlfriend. A couple years ago he admitted to me that he was sleeping with her and I filed for divorce. He had fully recovered from his cancer by then. There are other aspects around the cheating that left me very heartbroken and feeling betrayed. His giving me the house and taking all the debt was an apology of a sort. His parents feel that I owe him for getting the house and should let him stay there for the 2 to 3 months his treatment is at the facility. I do want him to be well and I don't want my kids to lose a loving father. But I can't deal with having him around me, especially not if I end up being his nurse and caretaker again. I am still very bitter about how our marriage ended. A lot of people close to me are telling me that I should support him for the sake of my kids. Wibta if I say I can't do that? Update 1. The Sunday after I made the post to Ida, my ex-in-laws picked up the kids for a zoo trip. They sometimes come to pick them up to entertain them and so I thought nothing of it. A few hours later a very teary and contrite Mill dropped off 2 bawling kids with me. She told them their dad is sick and will die if he doesn't stay with us and go to the hospital. We hadn't had a talk with the kids yet about the diagnosis and she dropped it on them that he is dying from cancer. He is not dying. It's a painful treatment but he'll recover. I was so furious I was raging. I called the ex and tore him a new one. He was shocked too and we together exploded at his mom. She broke down and cried begging me to not take away her grandkids from her, as if I'd trust her after this. Ex and I together talked to the kids, him on video, and assured them that yes he is sick but he'll be fine. He just needs to go to the hospital and they'll make him better like the last time he was sick. The kids settled after that but my oldest has been at me crying and begging to make dad come live with us. I promised them I'd talk to dad and figure out what's the best thing to do. I swallowed a lot of bile to talk to him about why he was doing this. We had a pretty long and detailed discussion. The bottom line is that he's broke, he still has a decent job but his credit is ruined, he has a lot of debt and he stupidly got the cheapest insurance that barely covers anything. Fiancée is no help either, she's worse off financially. So he needs a place to stay, he can't afford this otherwise. His parents are funding some of his medical payments and are already stretched. He was financially alright when we broke up so I have no idea what happened in such a short time. Anyway, X and his GF moved into my daughter's room. My daughter happily gave it up to her dad and is sharing her little brother's room. Both kids are over the moon happy to have their dad in their home. My daughter keeps checking on him every few minutes to make sure he's still okay. Mill traumatized my kid, I'll never forgive that woman for this. I let the GF move in with him because I was too angry to care about who came to look after him as long as it wasn't me. I didn't know how I could bear having her in my home, but it appears to be more misery for her than me and that strangely makes it more tolerable for me. She is teary-eyed and crying all the time. It's only been 3 days but I am so annoyed I want to shake her and tell her to pull it together. The current treatment plan is for 3 months, I am counting down the days. I am thankful for the many people who gave me great advice on my last post. I wasn't expecting things to go this way, but they played me by manipulating my kids. I'll slowly pull myself and the kids away and move, but for now I have to deal with this for my kids' sake. ETA, I was trying to make this update more than a week ago. So to add to that, X's treatment is coming along nicely. The tumors that grew again are much smaller than before and the new stuff that they are giving him is more directed to so he's not having as many bad symptoms as he had last time. I had promised myself I would do nothing to help and I stayed away from both X and his fiancée. But I did end up helping him deal with insurance. His fiancée has the personality of a wet noodle and cries all the time. It was easier for me to do it than deal with her struggling. X is polite enough to me, but his personality has changed. He is a different person and not very nice towards his fiancée. I didn't expect to, but I feel sorry for her. Update 2. My ex and his fiancée moved out today. His treatments went very well this time around. He had to deal with general weakness and nausea, but no vomiting and voiding like the previous time. It's amazing how much medicine improves and changes. He'll need monthly shots for a while and I agreed to house him for a weekend next month, but after that he's on his own. The stay went well, we had no drama really. I kept myself busy and kids and I traveled a lot. They both managed the rest of the stuff alright and things worked out. My kids are happy and back to their normal stuff. I had a talk with my daughter about how grandma exaggerated things to get her way and that is not okay, and she understood. She has shown no interest in visiting her grandparents and I am happy about that. The last week of his stay, his fiancée went back to their town to take care of some stuff since he was doing pretty well on his own. He and I had a few long detailed conversations. They were cathartic in some ways and saddening and maddening in others. I think I got some closure, at least I am not feeling the bitterness the way I used to. I may make another post about what he told me, his reasoning and justifications. On another positive note, all that dressing up and going out I've been doing has worked out for me. I met someone. We've been on 2 dates and it's going great so far. This is my first time dating since the divorce, so I am keeping my expectations muted, but still it is very exciting and fun. Update 3. I tried writing about our conversations, but the process of thinking about it and analyzing it is very depressing. When we had the talk, I felt much better than I do looking back at it now. Then my new date invited me on a trip during the Memorial Day weekend. One of my close neighbor friend encouraged me to go while she watched my kids. I was pretty excited about this vacation, my first adult-only vacation in over a decade. I didn't want my overthinking about my ex to make me depressed during the trip, so I put that on hold. The trip went well and I am pretty optimistic about this new relationship. Sorry to you guys for taking so long with this. But now that I feel happier, I can have a more grounded take on my ex's views. To start with, he was again very apologetic about what he put me through and that I deserved better from him. When he was going through his cancer treatment while we were married, I was extra careful with his feelings and being calm and patient with him. That had become so much of a habit that even when he told me about his affair, I still treated him with kid gloves. I was firm about wanting divorce and refused to consider his insistence on working it out, but I swallowed my anger and didn't go off at him. But this time I got to properly express my hurt and anger at him, and that was very, very cathartic. He took it okay for the most part, but also was stung by it and got defensive. He told me in some detail about how he and his GF got together. She was his high school girlfriend. She came from an abusive background and in high school he had helped her and did a lot to encourage her to move out of that situation. When he moved away to go to university and she stayed their small town, the long distance thing dissolved their relationship. He wanted a more big city life, and a few years after college he met me. When he was visiting his parents' home more while recovering, he reconnected with her. At that time she was struggling to leave an abusive relationship. It again was like their high school days where she was in trouble and he was the knight in shining armor. I suppose that can be very attractive to someone who's been facing weakness and their own mortality. When he was home I was waiting on him hand and foot. I didn't even know that he could have enough energy to do all the leg work for this other woman and was spending quite a bit to help her. That's where his currently being broke comes from. She was in financial trouble, and he solved all her problems. He is quite proud of how much he helped her and doesn't agree with me that he took something away from me and making me work for him while he put his energy away from our family. I don't want to say that I don't support helping someone escape abuse, but I can't help feeling exploited. His response was that he did a favor by spending time in his town because that lessened the burdens on me. It is true that when he went away life got easier by a lot. I had more time, I could focus more on kids, we could cook anything, eat anything. But if he had that kind of energy then he could have helped me, you know? But he says that I was always stressed out and upset, my attitude was a drain on him. I resent that because I remember how careful I was around him, how much I made myself pliable to be his nurse. He brought up examples of how once I was so upset I went to the balcony to scream, the time I snapped at the kids and then cried about it. He had stories of how I was pushy and difficult. He wasn't making it up, I have my faults, but I did work hard and tried my best. I didn't realize that my help and support wasn't good enough for him. I didn't make him feel good. I just did the shit work. I think he resents me because he feels he owes me. He likes his GF because she owes him and is dependent on him. Update 4. I introduced my BF to my kids this past weekend. We've been spending so much time together and talking almost every day, and I finally felt ready to bring him into their lives. I gave my ex a heads up that I am dating and will be introducing the guy to our kids. He went very quiet on the phone, then asked details about who he is, etc., and I gave those to him. He tried to dissuade me from letting kids meet my BF, says it's too soon and it's not healthy for the kids and whatnot, as if I got the choice to make such a call when he got his GF into my kid's life. Anyway, I finished the call annoyed. Last night he calls me back to discuss my BF. Apparently he looked into him. Which is fine by me, there's not much for him to criticize there. So he asks me if I am with my BF for money. To say I was furious is an understatement. My BF is in a lucrative career and he may be a couple tax brackets above me, I don't know for sure, haven't talked finances with him. But I do pretty well myself and I've supported myself and my kids and even my lousy ex, and this is what he asks me. I retorted that no, I am not with him for his money, I am with him because my ex-husband dumped me after exploiting me. He got upset at that and says that I have a barbed tongue and people think I am so nice but don't see how verbally abusive I can be. So that's nice. All I've done for him and he has no problem being cruel to me again and again. Update 5. I received a few messages asking for updates. But things have been calm, so there are no updates. My current relationship is going well. We are working on building our blended family. My 2 kids and his son get along really well, they are tight together. We have been thinking of buying a house together and selling mine. I am both excited and nervous about doing that. Ex didn't act up after that last argument. He's been more aloof than before, but that's preferable, so I don't care. Things are well on his side too, as far as I know. Update 6. My BF and I bought a new place together. I've sold the house and I am rather relieved to leave that place. I liked having a home, but there were too many bad memories there and the emotional baggage of my ex-in-laws thinking they still have a claim on the place. I will miss my old neighborhood though, I had a lot of supportive friends there. My kids love the new place, it's bigger, with a bigger yard and nicer schools. As we were clearing out the house, I told my ex to pick up a few of his things still left behind. He had a few boxes of pictures and kids' artwork and some small things, and I left them in the garage for him to come pick them up. He came to get them and ended up full on crying over the memories. We didn't talk or interact in any way. I just gave him water and left him alone to calm down. But honestly, I felt such visceral rage at his crying. I thought I was over this and past is past and I am happy with my life now, but at that moment I felt so much anger and it upset me that I am still not fully past what he had done. His relationship with his fiancée has ended and I do feel a bit bad about that. They were supposed to be married in July and that didn't happen. Then I heard from some mutual friends that she has moved back with her abusive ex. They have kids together and there was a lot of pressure from her family to reconcile. And yes, her family is abusive too. My ex had helped her against them when they were first dating and they've always held that against him. So she stayed with ex while he was digging her out of her financial crisis. Now that she's in the clear, she goes back to the guy who put her in that hole. In a way, my ex, and by extension me, helped some deadbeat out there make a lot of savings. In that part, I feel angry on ex's behalf. I mean, I hate him for my own reasons, but he did try to help his old friend and high school sweetheart and she screwed him over. Now on to second story. Parents sprung an unwanted co-signing surprise on me to secure a house for my sister, risking my financial dreams. I, 28F, have been busting my butt for years to save for my own house. I work in software, so I make decent money, but it still takes forever to build up a good down payment. Meanwhile, my younger sister, 25F, is in grad school with barely any credit. Our parents, both mid-50s, found a house near them and decided she needs it. They made an offer, without telling me, and now the deal only goes through if I co-sign. The problem? I had no clue they'd do this. My parents basically dropped a bomb. You have the best credit score, co-sign so your sister can get the house. They also hinted I should chip in for the down payment because you've got the money. If I co-sign, I'll be on the hook if my sister can't pay. She's still in school, has debt, and zero backup plan. The bank might also reject my future mortgage application since they'll see I'm already tied to another loan. But my parents say I'm selfish and forgetting family values. My sister is calling me a monster for leaving her stranded, and my mom threatened to cut off any future financial help, like wedding money, if I don't help right now. Some relatives think it's insane my parents tried to rope me into this after they already made the offer. Others say I should just do it for the family's sake. I feel guilty, but also mad they put me in this spot. Either for protecting my own finances, or are they wrong for strong-arming me into co-signing a mortgage I never wanted in the first place? I worked my butt off in school, snagged scholarships, and eventually landed a good job in software. All the while, I felt like my family mostly saw me as the fallback option in case anyone needed financial or emotional support. Now that I'm actually building my own life, saving for a house, focusing on my career, I'm realizing how my success just makes me look like a bigger piggy bank to my parents. The more independent I become, the clearer it is that I need to separate myself from the constant guilt trips and the unspoken expectation that I'll always bail them, or my sister, out. I love them, but I can't keep sacrificing my own future to maintain a dynamic where I'm never the priority. Update 1. Okay, so here's where I'm at. I'm absolutely not signing my sister's mortgage, and I'm definitely not pitching in for any down payment. This whole thing was the final push I needed to realize how messed up our family dynamic has been for ages. I mean, I've always known it was bad, but having them basically try to volunteer me, and my finances, without even asking just crossed a line I can't ignore anymore. I'm done. I've decided to cut ties. I'm already in the process of dropping any financial entanglements we might have, cutting off shared accounts, making sure they can't use my information for anything, and basically scrubbing them from my finances. My job lets me work remotely, so I'm planning to move out of state soon. That was always in the back of my mind, but now it feels urgent. I need space, distance, and a real shot at a normal life without the constant guilt trips. I'm also locking down my credit, freezing it, changing passwords, everything. I'm not taking any chances that someone might try to open a line of credit in my name. I've seen enough horror stories and I'm not about to become one. Thankfully, I'm not alone in all this. My close friends have been incredible. They're basically my real family at this point, helping me pack, offering me a place to stay if I need it, reminding me that I'm not crazy for wanting to protect my future. They've been the biggest source of support, and I'm honestly so grateful to have them in my corner. So yeah, that's it. I'm not signing. I'm leaving. I'm done. If my family wants to blow up at me for abandoning them, so be it. I've got to look out for myself, my credit, and my sanity. Here's to hoping things only get better from here. Update 2. That's when I stumbled on an active credit card I didn't open. Some of you guys warned me and I guess I wasn't fast enough to lock down. It's been around for a couple of years now. It was being used, but I'm assuming my parents wanted to keep it from me with the intention of using it as leverage. As of yesterday, the statements show purchases that look a lot like household expenses. The billing address on file points right back to my parents' home. I confronted them, via text, because I'm currently a couple hours away with a close friend. They claimed I benefited from these expenses, which doesn't make much sense, like how did, because they never helped me with setting up my own apartment. Also, it explains why they assumed I'd be okay with co-signing. Turns out they've been using my credit for a while. Needless to say, I feel completely betrayed. This wasn't some tiny oversight. My parents have been quietly using my name to fund their expenses. Now I'm talking to a professional to figure out whether I should dispute the charges or close the account outright, without tanking my own credit in the process. It's nerve-wracking realizing how they went behind my back even before this mortgage BS. At this point, I'm even more determined to move out of state to get distance from all this. My job is thankfully remote friendly, so relocating won't wreck my career. My friends have been amazing, offering support so I don't completely lose my mind. If it weren't for them, I'd be a mess right now. I'm not trying to be vindictive or overdramatic, I just need to protect myself. The trust is gone, and I don't see how I can maintain a healthy relationship with people who thought this was okay. It's sad, and I wish it didn't come to this, but I've got to prioritize my own future. I'll let you know if anything else major happens, but for now I'm focused on fully separating my finances from my family, getting ready to move, and making sure I don't pay the price, credit-wise, for something I never agreed to. It's scary, but I'm hoping it'll be worth it to finally have a life and a credit score of my own.